they wanted all this money. They wanted to recoup all the money from No Easy Day.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, I don't have no fucking money because you guys have taken it all.
Yeah.
I've had to
We've
spend
been in
it for the
court.
attorneys. Yeah, we've been in, I don't have any money to give you. So they put him on the 15-year pay back the government plan, and he was
Wow.
still on the payment plan. And when my ears heard that, even though in my mind I was just like you, Jeff, I was like, there is nothing in my book that's classified.
Yeah.
But when I heard it, I was like, all right, because I mean, for those that haven't written a book and you're listening to this conversation, it's your baby.
Yeah.
It's your baby,
You're
and
very
you're very
proud of it.
possessive.
Yes.
You're very proud of it, and the thought of you passing your baby off to someone else, and then you lose control of your timeline,
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to publish it and all that, because then it goes like, I don't fucking know when I'm going to get the manuscript
Oh
back.
yeah.
It could be 3 months, it could be six, it could be a year. I have the
Yep.
slightest idea. You lose, you lose control of your baby. So that thought of me losing control, I really, because you want to, like, I really wanted to hit Veterans Day. It's like, oh, I want to try to launch my book right around Veterans Day. And,
Yeah.
you're worried about your timeline. But when I heard him say this and how he was still paying the government back, I was like, all right, man, I'm going to submit this bitch to the
Yeah.
Pentagon. And
Yeah.
I got lucky though, dude. I got lucky. It took them 3 months to do the review, and they got
Okay.
it back to me. And guess what? Guess what? They actually redacted. And I had like two or three redactions. Can you take a guess on what it was that I had in the book?
It's probably I get it's got to be something silly.
Yeah. So I had a mentor, another mentor that was formerly part of Delta. He was a sniper over in Delta, had worked with Gary Gordon and Randy Shugart, two of the Medal of Honor recipients from Somalia. This guy did a lot for me, man. He did a lot for my career. Once he left Delta, and then he came to First Battalion, 10th Group in Stuttgart. So I mentioned his name, uh, and I mentioned, his name, part of Delta, came and was my company sergeant major, and they redacted that. They said, "Hey, you can't say his name, Delta Force, blah blah blah. So just change it to Special Operations or whatever." And then I said something along the lines of, I think there was two mentions of that, and then I said national level assets such as Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, and they said redact that.
What?
And that was it. I had like two or three very, very minor, and it had something to do with Delta or SEAL Team 6. And I was thinking to myself, like, dude, I have listened, me personally, as a guy that served 26 and a half years, Green Beret. I feel like I did a lot of missions in the Balkans and Iraq and been around.
Sure.
Dude, I've listened to Sean Ryan. I think he was interviewing a guy named Van Camp, a Delta guy,
Yep.
and they were telling stories about, there was like four of them that were off like some African coast, and they hit a target and they killed a bunch of dudes, and they had naval gunfire. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, holy fuck, we had guys doing shit like this. Like, this is insane. I I'd never heard of that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how are they still doing this Pentagon review stuff when, I mean, who's controlling or
There's
monitoring
no
that?
process. Like
Yeah.
there's the DoD, and then each service has their own review board, and like at one point in time, the Air Force review board was one lieutenant,
Yeah.
not a prior E. He was a straight 01, 02, right out of an academy doing like reviews. Like, and this guy, like, you're doing him a disservice. One and two, like, there's no standard. Like, you gotta have some standards. Like, I understand nonfiction, like what you wrote and what I wrote. You know, a lot of that can be fact or it can be interpreted as fact. But like even like on the fiction side, look, when Jack Carr did his third book, he made a big deal about it because there was like whole pages that they redacted, and he was like, "I can tell you, if I told you what was on this page, you could go Google it and find out just as much as I know." And I was on the SEAL teams involved in those missions. Like I pulled from experience, but you could go Google exactly what I know, almost to
Yeah.
the T. Like why would you? Why is it redacted? You can go on there and Google it and find videos and articles and all this stuff. But like it's so inconsistent, that review board, that I see why people are so scared of it, because they're like, I didn't write anything bad, but I don't
Let me
know. Maybe
let
I
me
did.
ask you this question. Let me ask you this question about when you're reading a book and you see some stuff that's redacted. If you're anything like me, I think it does have a little bit of sexiness
It does.
appeal factor to it.
A
When
line or two, and then you go, oh, I wonder
yeah,
what they
yeah,
said there. But like paragraphs at a time,
yeah,
yeah,
paragraphs and pages. It's like, dude, I'm losing what's going on here.
yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want readers to flip through pages and go, okay, what else is redacted? And I'm just going to skip this chapter because it's going to be redacted.